He's made of stone, and that should be valued. I think this guy deserves a good placement among the top contenders. In 6th place, in my opinion, should be Breon Asley, who previously mentioned that he was switching to the 212 division. But with the new classic weight limits, he stated that he would give the category one last chance. He's a bodybuilder standing at around 5 feet 7 inches. And with the new weight limits, he can now weigh up to 192 pounds, or 87 kilos. Honestly, I don't think he'll finish in 4th place like last year. He'll likely be displaced by other competitors who are coming in quite strong. Breon has been Mr. Olympia in the past, when his physique was more in demand than it is now. I believe he doesn't have the structure that's currently sought after by judges, as they've made quite clear on numerous occasions. He should compete in the 212 category, which suits his structure better. Physically, he tends to come in quite dry and has excellent muscle separation. The amount of muscle on his frame is impressive, with fairly large legs. However, his arms and back are particularly notable in double biceps poses, both from the front and the back. Breon dominates in these poses. In my opinion, he'll finish between 5th and 6th place. I'm not sure which of the two positions. In 5th place, I placed Mike Sommerfeld. He's a bodybuilder with exaggerated proportions. We have some images with Chris Bumstead, and you can see that he's like a shorter cbum. He has a tremendously wide clavicle, a broad hip and lower body, but with a very narrow waist, the sought-after X shape. He literally looks like the letter X. He has good arms and legs, and I believe he's quite balanced. He boasts a beautiful aesthetic with significant symmetry, a narrow waist with symmetrical abs, and well-rounded muscles. He usually brings good conditioning, although not the best. It's not something he stands out for. However, he has excellent muscle separation, with deep leg cuts in both the hamstrings and sartorius muscles, along with the quads. I believe he has a physique worthy of this 5th place, especially considering the importance judges are placing on structure in the classic division. We've seen smaller or less ripped guys placing higher due to their structure, as seen in the Dubai Pro with Terence Ruffin, whom I rank in 4th place. Ruffin finished ahead of Fabio Junio, Wesley Vissers, Chen Kang, Madelman, and even defeated Logan Franklin, preventing him from going to the Olympia. When he outperformed Fabio Junio, a significantly larger bodybuilder with better conditioning, it became clear that judges were prioritizing structure above all else. Although he was placed 6th at last year's Olympia, I believe they could easily move him up in the rankings this year, just as they did in 2021 when he finished 2nd, ahead of Dino and Urs. This year, he has added a considerable amount of muscle, and I'm showing you some recent images that display an exceptional physique, which is incredible. His muscle separation is insane. Look at those legs. His abs are well defined, and he appears very aesthetic with striations on his lower back and Christmas tree. He has excellent back density, a pronounced X shape, a tiny waist, a relatively large rib cage, and a broad clavicular width. His prominent lats give him great width. In his lower body, both quadriceps and hamstrings are substantial, with a good glute, although he has small calves and very thin ankles, which I don't think detracts much from his aesthetics. However, a bit more size in that area wouldn't hurt. He also has good arms with distinct definition, particularly in the triceps, which are exceptionally long and prominent, with a lengthy head. Regarding biceps and forearms, he could use a bit more size, honestly. There are some arms in the bodybuilding scene that are much more developed, such as Breon's. Nevertheless, his aesthetics and lines captivate the judges, and they'll likely place him 4th or 3rd or 2nd. Who knows? I have serious doubts. It depends on what the judges want. Because in 3rd place, we have a very young bodybuilder who has made significant improvements. We're talking about Urs Kalakinski, known as the Miracle Bear. He made great progress this year. I don't know how he managed to become so massive, reaching a weight of up to 275 pounds or 125 kilos at 5 feet 11 inches or 180 centimeters. He needs to weigh around 220 pounds on stage, and he will undoubtedly make weight. I have no doubt. This man is an expert in extreme preparations and cutting. Now, I'm going to say something that, in my opinion, is positive. I believe he isn't as dry or as defined, or better yet, as emaciated as in previous preparations with the same time remaining for the Olympia. This doesn't mean he will perform worse. I think he's playing it smarter. Last year and in previous years, he maintained an extremely low body fat percentage for too long, which left him looking drained and even flatter, despite being incredibly defined. He pushed his body to the limit for too long. This year, I believe he will be in shape on the day of the OLYMPIA or that week, but not weeks or months before. This could result in a version of Urs that's even more massive and fuller than usual. His recent physical updates have been truly impressive, with noticeable improvements in arm size, as you can see in a comparison of his biceps from a previous competition. His lats now appear more prominent, giving him a more mature, adult physique with more muscle mass than in previous years. If he manages to come in as shredded as before, he could potentially secure third or, who knows, even second place. Coming in good condition but fuller and more substantial than in previous years could make a difference. Now, let's talk about who I believe will take second place again. As you can see, in my opinion, the top spots won't change much from one year to the next. Chris Bumstead's biggest rival is the Brazilian Dino, with the genetic of the dinosaurs. He hasn't posted recent updates of his physique, but he shared these images where we can see the silhouette of a superhero. We can speculate about his current condition by observing his gaunt face or his forearms and calves bulging through his clothing. In any case, I can show you some older images of his physique, where at times, looking at this monstrosity, we might even think he's going to surpass Chris Bumstead. In some of the poses that Dino has shared, he looks like an open bodybuilder. His muscle gains in the last year have been absurd. His frame is fully packed, ready to explode. Ramon has a narrower hip and clavicle structure compared to Urs and cbum, as they both have broader shoulders and a wider rib cage. This doesn't necessarily work against him. It actually makes Ramon appear even more full and substantial. Additionally, he has huge hands and feet, accompanied by wrists and ankles that are twice the size of cbum and Urs. He also has massive forearms and calves, which means he has some very unique proportions. He does have a short rib cage but a fairly long waist, which I find aesthetically pleasing. His waist is incredibly narrow, he has well-defined 8-pack abs, massive and well-developed arms and legs, a good chest, and well-rounded shoulders. However, his back lags a bit. It lacks the width, as contemporary standards favor highly exaggerated lat muscles that accentuate the X shape. This could be a challenge for Ramon because while he has an aesthetic physique, he lacks the structural advantages that cbum, Urs, and Ruff seem to have, and which appears to be highly valued in this category. If the judges prioritize these proportions, he might place lower, but if they judge as the past year, he could secure second place and possibly challenge Chris Bumstead. And speaking of the man in question, cbum is going for his 5th consecutive title. For me, he's the clear first place. All the competitors have improved, but Chris has improved even more. Every year I see him and I think, it can't be, it's already his limit. But every year, he surprises us again. In 2023, he has been posting more physique updates than usual, silencing critics. We've seen some posts where he looked massive, gigantic, like that most muscular pose he posted, or a black and white double bicep shot that was amazing. He has an amount of muscle mass that makes no sense. He's probably the biggest classic in the lineup. The amount of size he has is absurd. His chest looks good. His shoulders look like they're about to explode, and his arms have mutated. While his biceps are short and flat without good shape, they have gained size, and his triceps are quite good. It seems like he did his homework training his arms because they've improved a lot, with veins like pipelines. A bodybuilder with a relatively narrow waist, a massive lower body, well-proportioned, and with outstanding lats. He has several asymmetries, and I think this should be penalized more. In terms of physical condition, with Hani Rambo as his coach, one of the best in the world, we have nothing to fear about his condition. He's going to look spectacular. He'll bring the skin very thin, and with more muscle mass, bigger than the others, and with the best aesthetics and structure. He's basically going to win. He would have to get sick or injured or something would have to go wrong, which is very unlikely for him to lose and come in second. But I don't think so. I see him as the champion again, winning his 5th consecutive title. Furthermore, if Chris Bumstead falls, OLYMPIA falls. Thanks to him, the classic category has been so successful, and cbum has brought bodybuilding to the people. They don't want him to lose. Don't worry, because he'll always make weight. They measure him in a special way, above the hair without flattening it. Besides all this, He's an exceptional bodybuilder and will likely come in first. Although I've ranked the top 5 bodybuilders this way, I want to present another possibility, an alternative order. If the judges give great importance to structure and rate it above physical condition and muscle size, we could have Chris Bumstead in first, Rough Diesel in second place, or who knows, Urs might take second place, and we could see Ramon drop to third or fourth place, with Mike Sommerfeld in fifth place and Brayon in sixth. I see the first possibility as more realistic, but I also wanted to present that other option to you. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe. I'm just starting, and it would be a great help. Greetings to all.